I have no idea. I can only tell you one thing. Again, that was proven today. No collusion. There's no collusion. There's no collusion, and there hasn't been collusion. And it was all a big hoax, and you know it. It was done and stated by the Democrats because they lost an election that they should have won because the Electoral College is a big advantage for Democrats, not for Republicans. And they should have, and I ran the clock out. We ran the whole thing. We ran up the East Coast from North Carolina to Pennsylvania. Then we go up to Wisconsin and Michigan, states that hadn't been won for many, many years. We won those states. And they said, how do we solve this horrible problem? We lost an election that in theory, some people, I didn't, but some people thought they were going to win, right? And they said, I have an idea, let's blame Russia. It was a hoax. It was all a big hoax. And now you're seeing it. Today, again, no collusion. The other day, no collusion. There was no collusion. When I had to go to Wisconsin, I went to Wisconsin. When I had to go to Michigan and Pennsylvania, South Carolina, North Carolina, that's where I'd go. When I had to go to Florida, which we won easily, I went to Florida. You don't call Russia when you go to Florida. Russia won't help you much. Have a good time, everybody. Thank you.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, the latest new Q posts tell us all about the setup and even more details that are going to shock you if you stick around to hear them. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. I always like to start by saying thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done it, come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified. And hit the like button if you guys like what you see here. So, today's episode, we're going to pick up right where we left off. The last post that we covered was this post right here, Q Post 3044. We're picking right back up here at Q Post 3045. And we have a lot of incredible information that's being given us here. Things that should shock anybody, and especially people who are new to this and just walking into it, because there's a lot of very, very shocking information that I really think you guys are going to want to hear. And with that, though, I always tell everybody, if you want to get caught up on the latest Q posts, come here, watch these last few videos. Also, if you guys want to figure out what QAnon the Great Awakening is, I always encourage you as well to come watch this video, What is QAnon the Great Awakening? It'll give you all that information, and you guys are more than welcome to go check that out and share it on your social media. So today, obviously picking up right where we left off, we're going to talk about this post from Q. So first, it is this tweet from Representative John Ratcliffe, and what he basically says is incredible, and this is something that we've not covered yet out of this newly released transcript of the closed door sessions testimony given by Lisa Page. So we have actually her confirming something to Representative Ratcliffe that's unbelievable, but it says, Representative Ratcliffe writes, Lisa Page confirmed to me under oath that the FBI was ordered by the Obama DOJ not to consider charging Hillary Clinton for gross negligence in the handling of classified information. And of course, here is the actual piece of the transcript right here, where it's Mr. Ratcliffe asking, okay, so let me, if I can, I know I'm testing your memory, but when you say advice you got from the department, you're making it sound like it was the department that told you you're not going to charge gross negligence because we're the prosecutors and we're telling you we're not going to. And to which Ms. Page replies, that is correct. So let's look at what Q has to say, because this is incredible. So it says the tarmac meeting. Of course, this is referring to the meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, on a private meeting they had on his plane at a tarmac in Phoenix, which in and of itself is not necessarily the worst part. The worst part is that they have this private meeting and it looks very bad optically because the FBI was involved in an investigation into Hillary Clinton at the time and these emails, right? So why would the Attorney General, the sitting Attorney General, go and meet with the husband of the person who is the subject of an investigation with the FBI privately? And just to talk about, of course, golf and grandkids, like they say. As Q points out here, days later, James Comey comes out and says, no charges are appropriate. So I wonder what was offered to Loretta Lynch to go back and to tell her counterparts at the FBI not to indict Hillary Clinton for this negligence in handling classified information. That's what we're being pointed to. And it says, how did HRC obtain special access programs on her personal servers? Access to special access programs and sensitive compartmentalized information is recorded in a local access register or in a computer database. Where are the records? Identity of specific special access program sensitive compartmentalized information on the server provides a target roadmap to review access logs to that specific program. What process and or security clearance would be required to walk away terminal clear with special access program and sensitive compartmentalized information material electronically? Did a foreign state gain access to the server? Did a foreign state gain access to the special access programs and sensitive compartmentalized information materials on the server? And it gives us this Hill.com article. If you guys will remember, this was when President Trump was saying point blank that Hillary Clinton's servers were hacked by China, right? Here's the tweet from President Trump saying, Hillary Clinton's emails, many of which are classified information, got hacked by China. Next move better be by the FBI and DOJ, or after all of their other missteps, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, Orr, FISA, Dirty Dossier, etc., their credibility will be gone forever. Now, this article is basically saying that it's debunked, right? That their sources, right, inside of the FBI or DOJ were saying, oh, President Trump's totally wrong. Her emails weren't hacked by the Chinese. And of course, here is an earlier tweet from, I believe this was a earlier tweet, from President Trump, where he jokingly says, but how much of this is a joke is what you have to ask yourself. Report just out, quote, China hacked Hillary Clinton's private email server, unquote. Are they sure it wasn't Russia? Just kidding. What are the odds that the FBI and DOJ are right on top of this? Actually, a very big story, much classified information. And this report goes on to, like I said, just kind of say, oh, well, it's not really verified. And it also, up here, if you look, it's from August of 2018. So this was an older article that Q wants us to go look back at. But then Q says, if the top FBI chain of command for the mid-year investigation were all fired, does one conclude the investigation was not conducted properly? Does one conclude all statements made by the FBI think no hack of server as single example could be false? Take a moment and think about what that means. And then it's got all these spaces here and it says treason Q. Now I've counted them up. There's 34 spaces here in this metaphorical kill box, which is just the brackets in bold. And I'm not sure. I haven't put together what 34 spaces is referring to. Obviously, it's something. A lot of other anons are looking at that right now as well. But look, this right here is telling us a story, right? First, it's telling us the connection. You make the connection between Lisa Page admitting that they were directed by the DOJ not to pursue charges against Hillary Clinton, while at the same time you have Loretta Lynch meeting secretly with Bill Clinton on a private plane in a tarmac somewhere in Arizona, right? And then days later, James Comey is like, oh, well, we're not going to charge. It wouldn't be appropriate to charge. Do you see the connection being made here? And then Q's asking us to really start looking specifically at how did HRC obtain special access program information materials and put them on her own personal server? And then was that server hacked by China, as the president alluded to in his tweet? And then Q says, look, if all of these people, and we're going to look at this here too, we'll just look at this real quick. But if all these people, right, this is the chain of command for the mid-year investigation. James Comey, Jim Rubicki, Andrew McCabe, Jim Baker, Mike Steinbach, Peter Strzok, if they all knew about this, Bill Priestap, you really have to, you start to question, and they were all fired. Do you think that they're really putting out true statements and information then? If they're being fired for not conducting investigations properly? Could that mean that what they've said publicly is false? Just a question. That's a question. But it's a good question, especially given the fact that we know the server existed. We know classified information existed on that server. It was privately held away from government oversight. James Comey admitted to this when he gave his statement. Okay? So, did foreign state actors gain access to the server? Did they gain access to special access program and sensitive compartmentalized information materials on that server? And was the top FBI chain of command all fired for basically not conducting investigations properly? These are the questions that make you wonder about what's really going on. And that's kind of the important takeaway here, I think, and what we're meant to look at, especially with regard to all this information. So that's pretty clear. It's clear as day to me. But the next one, of course, is this actual tweet from President Trump, where it just keeps unraveling, and President Trump just keeps basically telling us what's going on here, saying, the just revealed FBI agent Lisa Page transcripts make the Obama Justice Department look exactly like it was, a broken and corrupt machine. Hopefully, justice will finally be served. Much more to come. Guys, we're getting the information. These transcripts from this closed-door testimony tell us more about what was going on with these FBI agents when they were going after the president with this unverified Steele dossier, and then using basically the same source in FISA court to get the warrant when you're not supposed to use the same source to verify each other. That's definitely a breach of protocol, at least. Meaning Christopher Steele wrote the Steele dossier, and then they reference as corroborating evidence to that an article written by Yahoo News, I think it was Michael Isikoff, about the Steele dossier and kind of verifying it. But the source for that article was Christopher Steele. And they were trying to use these separate pieces of evidence to get the warrants to go after President Trump. So, I mean, we all know this at this point, and it's amazing that I don't turn on the major news networks and they're not running this story 24/7. It's the biggest story of our time. But nobody seems to cover it. Nobody seems to care. I can't put that one, let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Anyway, it says, trolling is fun. Panic is good. Panic increases the rat population. Page shill brothers majority of time on top of POTUS Twitter feed. How is that mathematically possible given volume? Coordination between shills and Twitter? At Jack, he or she who laughs last. Nobody is safe. Q. Wow. So first of all, obviously Q is alluding to the fact that President Trump is trolling the media for a good reason, to get them to start covering and talking about Lisa Page. These transcripts are incredible. If you start reading through them, the information that's being uncovered, but not a peep, barely a peep on some of these mainstream media networks, because they won't cover the truth anymore. They've given up on that. Now it's all just indoctrination and propaganda. I mean, that's what it seems like, at least, when you turn on the TV. But trolling is fun. Panic is good. Panic increases the rat population. So I guess people who are ratting are coming forward more and more because they realize it's all crumbling. That's why Lisa Page was basically admitting to everything in this testimony, because she gave up and was like, I'm going to cooperate. Because these people are all, there's this large conspiracy that we've got many different fact patterns to show is looking like it was basically set up against the President of the United States to enact this kind of soft coup against the President of the United States, who was democratically elected. Fair and square, remember? But the Page Shill brothers, that's obviously the Krasenstein brothers. How do they get to the top? I've asked this question a million times. How every time I go to a President Trump tweet, it's like Krasenstein making some just vile, putrid, disgusting remarks about their ideologies and how President Trump's a bad Cheeto man or whatever. They're literally put at the top of every one of President Trump's tweets. Why do you think that is? Do you think it's some sort of coordination between Jack Dorsey and these guys? Do you think that it's a message to the president? But remember, he or she, I guess, who laughs last, laughs best. So they can win these small little battles and think that they're actually doing something to negatively affect the president and try to turn public opinion against him by putting these paid shill brothers at the top of every one of President Trump's tweets. But in the long run, they'll be exposed for what they are. And that's where I'll leave it, Nobody is safe. That's right. Now, the next one here is kind of funny. These are two of the older Q posts, where we had this one from August, where we have a link to the Reddit board, The Great Awakening, which does not exist anymore, thanks to our good friends at Reddit. And it says, do you believe in coincidences? Nothing to see here. And of course, this was a picture of the Xbox Live outage map. There was this huge outage, and it came right after the time that Q made this post about the secret communications coming through PlayStation and Xbox chat logs. Right? That's what I thought was interesting. And then, and of course, another post down here from Q the next day after this all happened. So this post has happened. Then they put out, then there's a huge outage, like literally right after, because they're purging all the chat logs. And then it says, anyone have problems with their Xbox Live accounts shortly after the drop yesterday? Purge. How many coincidences before mathematically impossible? So that's one. And then here's the other one from August 16th, where it actually is Q just pointing to an anon who posts this screenshot of an article talking about Xbox Live being down. It's saying it's confirmed the issue on its Xbox Live status site, and players are complaining about the outrage on social media. So this was Q just pointing us back saying, and the anon said, for anyone questioning if this happened or not, of course, the outage was real. And it seems as though Q is insinuating that they were purging the chat logs because they knew secret communications existed there. Then Q goes on to give us this USA Today article. Now, what is this? This is talking about today. Lo and behold, we had Facebook and Instagram go down around the world in an apparent outage, which I'm sure is just, coincidence, given the fact that we just labeled Facebook as the former DARPA project LifeLog, which is the ultimate dream of the surveillance state to have you voluntarily contribute all of your information, where you go, who you talk to, who your friends are, to them through their application that they gave, allegedly, according to certain reports out there and insinuations made by Q mostly, that they gave the surveillance state, the deep state surveillance state, gave to Mark Zuckerberg and helped him to build this multi-billion-dollar company that's now ubiquitous across the world and has billions of users. Definitely just a coincidence, guys. Nothing to see here. How much more obvious can any of this be? Think LifeLog dump Q. So Facebook goes down because they're probably clearing any and all connection to LifeLog. They're probably trying their best to undo whatever code existed behind the scenes and whatever. They were just probably trying to purge all of any evidence that could link LifeLog to Facebook. MQ says, how much more obvious can any of this be? It's just so obvious. I mean, but hey, I'll leave it to you guys. You guys, make your own minds up. Now, the next one here is Q basically pointing us to this Fox News article, which talks about Representatives Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows talking about how Democrats don't care about the integrity of the census. And this is totally a spot-on article, which talks about why in the upcoming census, Democrats are arguing not to have the question added, which is, are you an American citizen? Now, I love it. There was a great little, the article points out something very interesting. It says, if Democrats want illegal citizens to be treated just like every illegal immigrants to be treated like every other citizen and have all these rights and all this fair stuff, why can't we know how many of them there are? That to me is one of the biggest questions. It's, if they're so altruistic in their belief that we should embrace the people who come here illegally, and I mean, I saw one the other day that just made perfect sense. Like Mark Stein was commenting and saying, well, what if, I think it was Mark Stein, it might have been talking to somebody, what if 1 million Russians walked across the border illegally and started taking our social services and voting in our elections? Would the Democrats still endorse that? I mean, that's really where the logic is just so insane. And anyway, this thing is laying out the fact, why don't they want to have that question in the census? Why wouldn't we want to know how many American citizens live in America, right? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me just looking at this, and you guys can read the article. I'll leave links to everything that we cover here in the description, but it says, if Dems fight to protect, safeguard, and promote all illegal immigrants as rightful U.S. citizens who should be afforded all benefits and rights accordingly, why then would they fight to block them from being counted as part of the U.S. Census? What would the data show? All that matters is power. Welcome to the Democratic Party. Con Q. And yeah, I mean, you guys can read that simple and plain as day that why would they? See, it's just the liberal logic. It's just full of hypocrisy, and you can't. It's hard to fathom how they justify this. It's so much mental gymnastics they have to go through to justify all of their positions, mostly on the left, that you just watch it and you go, how does any rational, logically thinking person view this information and view these arguments and think, yeah, you know, well, we shouldn't count the citizens in the sense, we shouldn't count illegal, or ask, excuse me, we shouldn't ask if people are U.S. citizens in the census, but we should afford and protect and safeguard illegal immigrants as rightful U.S. citizens. I mean, it is mind-boggling. It blows my mind. So, hey, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up. You tell me what you think about that down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it all. Before we go, a few more things. First of all, if you want to help out the channel, the best way to do it is come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you hit that like button if you guys like what you just saw. It's a little thumbs up button at the bottom of this video. Go hit that if you guys like what you just saw here. And don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments, because I love to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. And also share these videos on your social media if you can. That's really helpful, and I appreciate it. Now, a couple other ways you can help out. Come find me over here on Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website, and I think that all of your help is what keeps this channel alive, and I'm so thankful, and I can't tell you how thankful I am. It's a monthly donation. There's a link in the description. You come here, click this button to become a patron, set it and forget it, and know you're helping create this content on a regular basis. Also, I have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time donation. I have this here. You guys are what make this channel possible. I could not do this without you guys, so thank you so much for your help. Also, don't forget to check me out over here on Twitter at JustInformYou. You can get all my cool, funny tweets, and you get all the videos are posted over here as well. And you can come check out JustInformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where we have links to all the Q stuff. We have links to different news websites, and we have links to different breaking news feeds. And you can also get all the videos from the YouTube channel here, so you can go check that out. And that is certainly a tool for you guys as well. And before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. So for this one, I want to share a verse that I've shared before, but it's an important one. And it talks about the light of the gospel and why it's so important. And that, to me, is what we're all here for. We're bringing light to where there was once darkness. And that's really what we're called to do as Christians, which is the most important calling I think we all have. So for this, we're going to do, this is out of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 1 through 6. And it says, "Therefore, since we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we do not give up. Instead, we have renounced shameful secret things, not walking in deceit or distorting God's message, but in God's sight, we commend ourselves to every person's conscience by an open display of the truth. But if, in fact, our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing. Regarding them, the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers so they cannot see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For we are not proclaiming ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your slaves because of Jesus. For God, who said, 'Light shall shine out of darkness,' he has shown in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus Christ." And all that's saying is that we're called to spread the good word. Saying that God said, light shall shine out of darkness. That means that light has to come from somewhere, and that light comes from God. That light comes from Jesus. And when we put our faith in those things, then we are saved and we are blessed. And God has so many things that he can give you, and he can open up so many doors in your life that you never thought would be there for you, and give you so many blessings, that it's just so important to remember that we have to be the light that shines into the world and be the conduit for that glorious message that needs to get to our friends and families and coworkers. And, you know, I always say, if you're having a hard time at work, and you're having a hard time with your family, or you're having a hard time just being by yourself, being down, or just dealing with this information even, I always encourage you to start that conversation with God. Say a prayer. Just say a simple prayer. That's how it starts. And you can say it to yourself, but to God, and you can go from there. And slowly but surely, the more you pray, the more you have faith, the more you do good things, the more you tell the truth, the more you act honorable and act righteous, God rewards you along the way. And it might not be easy. Nobody ever said this was going to be easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, right? Because you're called to act godly, to act righteous, to be a man or woman of God. And when you do that, God will give you all these incredible gifts and blessings. And then it's up to you to take that great blessing and all those great blessings and that strength and courage and wisdom that God gives you and spread it out in the world. And that's what the light of the gospel truly means, at least to me. So I just want to leave that with you guys. And I say thank you so much for coming and joining me here on this episode of Just Informed Talk. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you hit the like button, which is the thumbs up at the bottom of this video if you guys like the content that you just saw. But that's going to be it for me. Again, thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.